And let me just kind of talk about what the idea of this is. So, the idea of this particular format is a style of learning that's self guided. It's just a habit. So, if if I can actually get all of us to form a habit of hey, welcome in, Joel. Welcome. All right. If we can get into a habit of listening to these podcasts and finding that we have something interesting to discuss, that's the key result that I'm hoping to achieve. Where we get in a habit of finding good stuff, being able to share. It might not even be in this class. It might just be at lunch or in whatever discussions that come up, or it gives you at least a reference point outside of Bukit Vista for leadership and experience. Okay? All right. So let's begin. Vena, you're very pumped up. First person in. So, Vena, tell us something you learned about. Tell us, well, actually, let's go with this. Which podcast did you listen to? Vena, you're muted.
Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wait. I actually like put a note for this one.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, so I'm listening to Melanie Perkins, which is from Canva.
Okay.
And after that, Whitney Wolf,
Okay.
Bumble,
Uh-huh.
and Sarah Blackley, Spanx.
Okay. All right. So all very successful female entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I just realized about it. Like I take like all female.
We find inspiration and we find our mentors wherever they may come in whatever form they may come. So that's all good. Okay, let's ask. Did anybody else actually listen to any of these podcasts? Let's go to Ara. All right, and did you cover any of these podcasts that I covered?
Yeah, but I only so far hear about the chick salad and the Run the Runway.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, what about Joel? Joel, are any of your podcasts same as Vena's?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, all right, please mute. Or Cynthia, please mute. Okay, better close the door. That will reduce the vibrations back. Okay, Vena, talk to us about what are some challenges that each person faced. Let's talk with Melanie Perkins. Does everyone here know Canva? If you know Canva, please raise your hand. Okay, Joel, have you used Canva yet? Joel, have you used Canva yet?
Oh yeah, I have. Sorry.
Okay. All right, cool. Joel, I can tell you are in the same room as Vena.
Ketahuan.
Can hear you. I can still hear you. Okay,
He's outside and I'm inside.
got it. Vena, why don't you tell everybody what Canva is?
Canva. Okay. So Canva is actually like how to say like you use all the time, right? But the idea for the first place about why they're creating Canva is actually like based on because I think like in another country, which is Australia, they have like a book year for each school.
Uh-huh.
So they think it's pretty manually when you're doing how to say when you do how to say the design for the like yearly book.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And after that, like because of that, they think like there's something they can create for all people.
Okay.
If they cannot like they don't know how to design something, right? So that's why like Canva is there. But since in the first place, like right now we're using Canva for designing the PPT, like like it's like evolving, which is they put like the another edit value on it. But in the first place, like they started with how to say like print it or something. So if everyone want to make a yearbook, so they will take like how to say they will go to like the people who created Canva, and they will say like please design for me. This is the like you already give me the template,
Okay.
and I put like everything's there and print it for me. So that's it in the first place, like about they start the new business. But then like they put like another added value with Canva, so everyone can use it like from everywhere, and like they provide people who can like like put their because in this world like there's a lot of people they're really good on designing something and else, but in the end of the day they don't know like how they can use their talent. So that's why like Canva also attract those people who can design something for them and make it free and give it to all people. So it's not about like yearly book again, but it goes like everywhere, like for Zoom and everything. So I think in here you know about like how to use Canva, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's the first things. And you want me like because you give me like you give us three question, right? So should I start from this three question?
It's okay. Let's just begin here.
Okay.
Take a pause. Okay. Joel, has Vena helped you understand what Canva is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about. Oh, here's my little philosophy on Canva. Whenever I see somebody using Canva, I think this is a smart person. Whenever I see somebody using PowerPoint, I think this is probably a older person or a less advanced person. Canva is essentially an evolution, I think, of PowerPoint, and it's better because one, it's cloud based, so you can access it anywhere, um, and you can collaborate. Like you can start a deck, and then it can work on the first 5 slides. I can work on the next. So there's a way to collaborate there, which is pretty awesome. Um, and then the part that I actually really delved into was about the design. The problem with PowerPoint traditionally is that you have to start everything kind of from scratch, right? And there's not a lot of artistic flair that you can put in. Canva has put in a lot of the tools. So if you haven't seen it before, let's go to Cynthia. Cynthia, has Canva solved a problem for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I use Canva like making a flyer or something.
okay. And how have you helped somebody by using Canva?
Uh, yeah.
Okay,
Well, the very first time I just like, yeah.
go ahead, go ahead. Tell us how you helped somebody using Canva.
Uh, yeah, I use that from my like Instagram post, and then I know it from the Play Store at the very first time.
Okay, all right, got it. And let's go to Ara. Ara, have you used Canva?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And how have you used Canva? What have you used it for?
For presentations, for making posters for our anniversaries or celebrations or anything. So yeah.
Okay, all right, great. Let's go to Joel. Joel, are you what sort of have you noticed? Okay, based on your own podcast and what Vena just said, what is the common thing that most of these really successful projects or products are doing? What sort of do they all have in common?
Um, if I compare to my the podcast that I've been listening to, it's more of like taking the opportunities because it doesn't come like all the time.
Okay, and what did that opportunity look like for Canva's case?
I'm not sure for Canva, but as when I hear about it, it's more of like they started with a couple, right?
Yeah.
And then someone has to sacrifice to go somewhere else. That's the point of like taking the opportunities from Canva.
Okay, all right. That's one perspective. Let me go over to Vena. Vena, what do you think was the opportunity at Canva?
Huh?
What was the biggest opportunity that Melanie saw at Canva?
Okay, the biggest opportunity that Melanie saw. Wait, I actually like put a note on it. Okay,
Okay.
so in the first place, I mentioned before about how to say those people still keep creating the how to say um, yearly book, right?
Uh huh.
So like Melanie and her boyfriend like are trying to see like okay there is something like people used to make it and after that it takes like so long
Yeah.
for them to create something which is it can be like fast. and after that, like, everyone was like creating the how to say creating the yearly book, just like just the old style. They're just like it's kind of like old school because there's no design, there's no everything. But in the end of the day, people who go to school is actually young people who need like they must have the creativity inside them. But when they think like okay, it's just yearly book and I don't give a fuck with it, and after that like they see like there is opportunity, which is they see the behavior of the people, and they see like they can do something, and they really want people to like be able to design something and to create something fresh for the yearly book so they can like remember all the time. So that's why like those people think about, okay, so there's no one create something like like template or something that can make people easy to design even they don't know how to design. So that's why like there's comes up with the idea. So
Okay,
actually they see the opportunity based on this kind of situation.
great. So it sounds like Melanie saw a problem that people were facing doing
Mm,
the old school way, and then found a new school way to do it that made things.
mhm.
Okay, all right, great. So what have you listened to in that podcast that you would be able to apply to your daily life?
Um, so in my perspective, when the first time that I heard about this one, right? I think for my daily work and daily life. So I think like okay, let's say like with the daily work, okay. So this is the things like actually like Canva. When Melanie talking about Canva, it's not literally about like why she started in the first place, but she's mentioning about the journey when she's created Canva. So most of the time, when Melanie trying to create it Canva, so she's how to say when Canva is grow up, and after that like she's trying to make it like a lot of edit value on it, and in here like the sis go to like Silicon Valley if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, sis go there, and after that like trying to looking for the investor and everything's right, where like Canva still in Australia, but they need to looking for it. And after that, like the things I think I can implement in my daily work is about like convincing people to work with you by believing your product. So why I can say it, because when Melanie go to Silicon Valley, so she's kind of like approaching the investor, not by saying okay, I want you to invest in my product, but the way she did it, it's about like she's go to this person, to those people, and after that like asking for advice. And when asking for advice, those people like give her advice, and after that like she's contact again these people like a month after she's how to know like recover the product. And after that like she's saying again like hey, take a look, I already like fixing a few things like become your concern, and here you go, like did you have like any, I'll say, any advice for the revision, so I can improve more. And after that, like sis go back again, and they're like, okay, I want to meet you because because she's not mentioning at all about investment, right?
Right.
So along the way, when like they keep like give advice, and sis keep like fixing, and after advice and fixing, those people feel like okay, this I feels like this is my product, but actually the idea is not coming from them, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is the for convincing people, who make people believe in your product. It's not because you told them to believe in your product, but you put them to become part of your product. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, that's fantastic.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
I want to actually tie two things together. Joel, did you come to let's see, who went to the persuasion? Cynthia, you went to the persuasion workshop, right? Oh, Cynthia's
Yes.
okay. All right. So did you notice something that links from the persuasion workshop to what Vanna just said? Oh wait, it didn't specify yet. Let's go to Joel.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is it that Vanna said that might remind us about how to be more persuasive and how to negotiate?
What I understand is that persuasion and negotiation doesn't have to be done the hard way, but there are like a lot of strategies, like different way to deal with the situations.
Okay, got it.
And the Canva is the best an example of that.
Okay, interesting. All right, let's go to Shindia. Shindia, do you have a more specific extension of what Joel said? So persuasion doesn't have to be done like the direct way. You can do it kind of in a softer way. But how would that relate to, let's say, Vena's case?
Mm, yes, I think persuasion will like you have to offer solution to a for a problem to someone. So
Okay,
like when you want to persuade or persuasive someone, you need like offer a solution over that problem.
okay, all right, got it. But before we do that, we want to persuade somebody. Let's go to Ara. We did some practice on persuasion over the past few days, right? So, Ara, what has Vena said that might actually connect really directly to how to be more persuasive and how to negotiate? Okay, here I have Ara's on a radio blind right now. So, this is a Joel and a Cynthia. The biggest takeaway that I saw from persuasion that connects to what Vena just said is whenever you try to persuade somebody, make sure they're involved, right? It's not even about, let's say, what Vanna just said was actually kind of very direct. It's not even about like, oh, you should invest in me, buy my product, I have a solution for you. It's more like, hey, what do you think I should do, right? Let me involve you into this process. And when somebody else feels like they're involved in the process, somebody else feels like they've already, they've put in their own ideas and they see those ideas come back, then they're probably more likely to be persuaded because now they have something they have to lose if this doesn't work out. So this is actually a pretty effective approach towards any persuasion. It's not so much about forcing, as Joel said, your idea onto somebody else, but it's more about kind of like sharing and helping to co-create their own idea or a new idea based on feedback. So there's a bit of exchange there. All right, let's go back to Vena. Vena, so how would you now, knowing that you know what you know from this podcast, how would you react differently to opportunity or crisis?
Yeah. For this one, I was think about if you have something with your idea, right? So later on, so how you can react of something like differently is about you need to understand about the activities in this the first place, and after that, about how you can execute this kind of things become your idea and like something that you're already doing, which is the activity, and after that you can analyze about the obstacle of like the activity that you do to execute your idea,
Okay,
and after that like you need to understand why, how, what it happened, and so you could know about your current condition in this kind of situation,
okay,
and after that like you need to understand like the position where who can help to solve this problem, and after that trying to do brainstorming with these people, and after that like maybe you can get the new idea which is can become like a new added value for your product, and after that like after it's become like maybe like another new idea and like your product increasing the value, and you can test it again, test it again, test it again, and test it again. So that's the thing is how you actually like react to some crisis differently. Yeah.
okay, all right. And how inspirational has listening to the Canvas story made you feel?
Hmm. Can you repeat again?
How inspired do you feel after listening to the Canvas story, Melanie's story?
Hmm. I think about like this really persistence because there is a condition where she got when she needs to go to Silicon Valley like for a month, which is like less of money and everything. And like the one like because I always like value persistence, right? But persistence without strategy, it's nothing. So she's go to Silicon Valley and that like with all the she had, and she's creating the strategy based on the failure. Yeah, so I think like this part can be like so inspiring for her. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic, very good. Let's go to the next person or topic. Let's see, Joel. Joel, let's go over to your side. tell us about the three podcasts that you listen to.
Okay, so I listened to Steve Madden. It's a high-end product, and then Barbara Corcoran. It's a
Uh-huh.
real estate mogul, and then Lincoln Wright Hoffman.
All right. Who do you want to discuss?
I'll go with either Steve Madden or Barbara.
Okay, great. Let's talk about let's talk about Barbara because that's kind of related to our business, right?
Right.
About hustling and getting properties. Okay, what was your biggest takeaway? What did you learn the most?
Wait. Okay, what I learned the most is actually in business or entrepreneurship, it doesn't necessarily has to be book smart or someone who has like degree in the university. But the most important thing is being street smart. Getting exposure to the business that you're into, and then get the takeaway from there.
Okay, great. And let's go further. What sort of examples from Barbara's story did you understand about getting street smarts and getting ahead?
Yes. So basically, she comes from like a background who's not really like into business, but he met a right guy at the right time. So in her story, he met someone called Ramon, which introduced her to this real estate business in the rental properties, like apartment for like yearly rental. And then um, she learned from it. Like she becomes someone who knows how to sell and be great at it. And then the opportunity comes when it's actually interesting that she's dealing with rental properties, and then there's this guy who said like, "Oh, I don't want to rent, I want to buy," and then she just go for it. She tried to contact like all the networks that she has all over New York, and uh, she made it. She made the first sell, and then from there, it's just a history.
Okay, excellent. So, what would you say is applicable from Barbara's podcast to your life?
For my personal life is that I have a different background. It's not really like in hospitality or real estate, but it's actually engineering that has nothing to do with whatever I want to do in the future, right?
Me too.
But I was thinking of getting an MBA in a way that I think that I will get exposure to the business. I will know more about it, but I decided to do something else, which involve in the business directly, so I get more exposure, networking, and Bukit Vista basically.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. And how would you, let's say, identify a new opportunity now that you might not have seen before you listened to the podcast? How would you be able to like, oh, that's actually an opportunity, and I might not have seen it that way before?
Yeah. So before I listen to the podcast, I've been staying in Canggu most of the time. So
Okay.
I'm like exposed to the partner, to the guest, and everything else. But after listening to the podcast, I was somehow like, oh yeah, there has been like a lot of time when I get the opportunity to do something or like to make a partnership with someone or to get take away from like the guests, talking a lot with them, and I was just being more aware of those opportunities after listening to the podcast.
Wow. Fantastic. Right. I think Joel makes actually a pretty good point. Let's go to. All right. Any thoughts on what Joel has learned from Barbara Cochran?
Okay, basically, well, I didn't listen details on the podcast itself that Joe's been listening to Barbara Corcoran, but some the patterns that I've noticed based on what Venus delivered and Joel delivered is that each person based on the Barbara and also the Canva one is that I think it really I don't know I'm open up to the floor. Yeah, it requires very high hustling part on these entrepreneurships. Like based on my podcast that I'm listening to, also like both chicken salad chick and the runway is also like have a very high hustling experience. So is that really I don't know, maybe like the main major things if you want to start a business, like a key point.
Okay, interesting. All right. So Ara brought up the idea of hustle as something that seems like many entrepreneurs share. All right, let's go to Vanna. How important is hustle to getting your business to succeed?
How important hustle?
Yeah.
It's really, really important. I mean, like, here's the things. When you think about you want to create something, right? And when you think you want to do something and make it work, when you're not being hustle, it's about it's kind of like not correlate with when you saying you're a persistent person, because when you say you're persistent, it's about like you trying something a lot, which is it's you need to count about the quantity. And when you talk about hustle, it's about like the quantity that you make for something, correct? So if you keep hustling, I really believe like there is something that you can learn from it. I mean, like you can make results from it. Yeah.
All right, Vanna, I think you got it. I think actually you had a very beautiful way of putting it. Hustle is strategy and persistence, and you need both. If you have persistence without strategy, then you're not really doing it in the right way. So, hustle is also the ability, I think, to pivot, to actually look at, is your persistence actually paying off? And if it is, keep going. But if it isn't, pivot to something else where your persistence is better served. So that is actually pretty cool. Back to Ara. Ara, what did you? I saw you raise your hand.
Okay, so I'm actually have a question though, like comparing to Melanie and the chicken salad. These both things are actually a business that is a very different industry, right?
Yeah.
Like Canva can always been evolving, and it's a really is relevant for people that I would say around the world, and also like it can evolve lah because it's a technology and everything. But this, I don't know about restaurant, since this chicken salad chick is type of restaurant, and I think Jing ever told me that people that open up a restaurant might not have like high, what's it like, doesn't know what they're doing or something like that. So like in that case, I don't know, how is that this person with chicken salad chick develop the business itself for now, because I don't know the situation in real life, like is it like now franchise around the world, or just in the US, or it's now spread out and outside the country, and then how is they're actually um, keep on hustling. Like, okay, opening franchises of course a hustle part, but I see that Canva can actually excel hustling way better than chicken salad chick, or I don't know.
Okay, interesting. All right, now we're comparing two different industries. We're comparing, let's say, software. Actually, ooh, this is a good question. All right, what is the category that Canva belongs to? What sort of category or industry does Canva belong to?
I think it's part of technology, right?
Okay, good. Specifically, what part of what slice of technology? What would it like? Everything is technology, right? Like this iPhone is technology.
Art,
All
I
right.
don't know.
Okay, let's go over to Vanna. What do you think is the category that Canva belongs to?
Creative industry, is it what you mean?
Okay, very good. It's related to creative. Okay, that's not its business model though. Its business model is a little bit different. It is in the creative industry. Let's go to Joel. What category does Canva belong to in technology?
I agree that it's a creative industry.
Okay, all right. Uh, kind of right. Okay, I'll share the answer. It's software as a service. Okay, so anything that's software as a service, you guys might not even know, but you're using a lot of software as a service. So back in the old day, if you wanted to go get software, you buy a box, you load it into your computer, and it starts running, right? But now everything kind of runs on the cloud. So this idea of software as a service is actually quite powerful because your distribution is really costs this much. It's really easy to distribute software as a service. So that makes a company like Canva able to grow globally with very little friction. Now, if you want to grow a chicken salad business, you cannot download it off the internet, right? You actually have to bring a physical kitchen that produces this product. to every location that wants it, right? If you intend to serve it fresh, if you intend to freeze it, maybe you could freeze it and then distribute it out to supermarkets. But this is a fresh product, so it needs to be created fresh. So to answer Ara's question, it depends. This is why there's so many people in tech that get so rich. It's not because necessarily that their product is high profit margins or anything. It's just that they can distribute it to billions of people today. And that's all it takes, right? All it takes is a really creative idea, and they have access to huge distribution. But if you have a restaurant, you can't serve everybody in the entire city with one restaurant. You have to create multiple restaurants. Multiple restaurants mean multiple layers of management, multiple. So the complexity actually gets more and more complicated as it goes up. Think of YouTube. If you want to release a YouTube video and get 1 million views, you don't need to do any more work than to get 10 views because YouTube helps distribute it. So that's kind of inherently the difference between, let's say, an online business versus an offline business. But don't forget, Ara, in the online business, there's a lot of other people who are also competing with you to get views, to get audience, to sell other products. So without hustle, without this idea, I'm going to try to drive my idea, my product, you just won't succeed. You won't get the best employees if you hire. You won't get the best partnerships. You won't get the best customers. You won't get the best distribution because the people who hustle usually get in there before everyone else, and they stay there and they don't move. Right? They sort of get to the water hole first, and then they hold on to it. So regardless of whatever industry you're in, I think hustle is so key to making business happen. Business doesn't happen on its own; it happens because you want it to happen. Okay, again.
Yes, of course, I understand that even Canva needs to like innovate, right? Like if they're not innovate, somebody can surpass and excel their performance. Maybe there's new Canva that is way better and have more tools in it. But like my question was more on like how what kind how does the model looks like of hustling as a person that runs this restaurant?
Oh,
Like is it just the franchise or
I guess okay. Let's pivot now. Actually, this is a good time. So let's go to all right. Since we're looking around, which podcast would you like to talk about?
maybe the chicken chick salad? Because I'm curious on nowadays it's about restaurant and then like how does people actually develop a business in food and beverage?
Okay, fantastic. All right, very good. There's a lot of very successful food and beverage outlets, but let's make no mistake. Let's like the most successful person I can think of, like that's kind of close to me, is probably somebody in the food and beverage industry. Okay, let's see. Take a guess. Nena, who do you think is the most successful person in food and beverage in Bali?
I don't know. No idea.
It's probably this guy. His name is
GFC
no.
because it's more like it's everywhere.
Yeah, see. Oh, okay. Perhaps. Okay. It's this guy. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Ah, here he is. Gonzalo Asiego from Spain. What does Gonzalo Asiego do, Joel? Okay.
I don't know.
Then Gonzalo, what does this guy do? Ara knows. He's the owner of La Favela, right? He doesn't just own La Favela. He has La Favela, La Plancha, La Laguna, La Brisa, and all that, right? So actually, all right, let me share a story about a local hero or maybe a local anti-hero, depending upon your perspective. So Gonzalo succeeded in food and beverage. People who know him say that he makes over 500 million rupiahs a day from his four businesses. I would not be surprised. I would imagine that could be actually even higher on a good day. So Gonzalo is kind of a food and beverage success story. He makes most of his money from selling food, alcohol, and drinks, right? So let's talk about his hustle. Gonzalo, I've seen him fail more times than most people would be able to to deal with, right? Like most people that failed as many times as him would just pack up and go home and cry to their moms and be like, "That's it," right? He started La Plancha, and it took him 8 years to get the permission from the Banjar to open La Plancha. 8 years. Most people would just say, "Fuck this shit. This is stupid. I'm going to leave and go back home and start a beach club where it doesn't take 8 years." He spent 8 years doing that. He got really tight with the local community, and then he did really well with La Plancha. He opened a second restaurant on the beach called La Barca. He put so much money into it. He built a pirate ship on Batu Belik. It got closed down by the government, and he was forced to demolish it himself. Because if he didn't demolish it, the government would charge him like 300 million to demolish it. So he spent all this money to build it, and then he had to pay to have it demolished. But that didn't stop him. He didn't stop at all. He went right away and started La Favela. And La Favela looked crazy at the time, right? I would say at the time, everybody was building things more like coup d'etat, like Potato Head, more modern. He built something that was not on the beach, that was traditional, that was very like maximalist instead of minimalist, and it worked. But even after he succeeded with La Favela, he started a third restaurant, which was called La Sicilia. It burned down once. He rebuilt it again, and then he had to close it because there weren't enough guests going to that location. So, and then La Laguna, you can ask yourself whether that's successful or not. So he's kind of like failed quite a bit in food and beverage. It has not stopped him from hustling. It has not stopped him from thinking of new ways to get the audience of doing whatever. So I think that to me is the most direct example of hustle in food and beverage. That's the most direct example of doing whatever it takes and not letting one failure or another failure stop your vision, but learning from each iteration and getting better and better at it. So that's one way you can hustle in the food and beverage industry. But let's go back to chicken salad chick.
Yeah.
In this perspective, I thought this story was all about hustle because nothing was going in her favor, right? One, people thought this was a feminine food, so she couldn't get like the boys to eat this food. They would pretend not to like it. So it's a hustle to try to think about how to get people to appreciate, how to get people to understand your product. But there's also other hustles too. Let's go with what you understood. How do you think that? Actually, what was her name? Stacy. Not sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. How do you think Chicken Salad Chick succeeded? What was her method of hustle? So, Ara.
That's why exactly that. Well, it's not that I say that she didn't hustle much, but at some point the factor of lucky in these terms is really huge, I think.
Yeah.
Well, of course, like, yeah, of course, with the strategic planning, like as we discussed previously on how she opened the first what is it, restaurant in a strategic place which is near to the worker place, so then the worker can have lunch there. But I think also like there are a huge factor of lucky in this part, because even that the product that she sells is not like, okay, Gonzalo is like different, I would say. Why? Because like each restaurant that he has, like La Favela, La Laguna, has its own different or specific product to sell, like the place and everything. But this one is just, I would say, like KFC and McD, right? Maybe because I've never tried and I've never been in any counter of chicken salad chick. But so yeah, that's why I'm a little bit confused on what are the models of hustling itself. Because me personally, I still see it like, yes, of course, hustling, that even though people said that they don't like, she still open it. But like the product itself is not as having much variant as Gonzalo, for example,
Okay.
and not as like marketable.
Interesting. All right. So let's go over to Cynthia. Cynthia, what do you think about this? How do you think, like, let's say, for example, luck? How important is luck in success?
Yep. So based on the two podcasts that I have heard,
all of them like mention about luck in industry. Like not everyone probably mean to be in the entrepreneurship things. So beside of their hustle and beside of the way they struggle on this business, they also mention about luck, and I think that's pretty interesting because if you don't have luck here, if you're not meant to be here, then I think it won't be happen.
Okay, interesting. Let's go over to Joel. Joel, how important is luck to being a successful entrepreneur?
I wouldn't call it luck too. It's more of there's a chance. Like again, there's a chance, and they decide to take it.
Okay,
It's
very
not
good.
really, yeah, it's not really like something that just happened, but they do something about it.
All right, interesting. All right, let's go to Vanna. How do you feel about luck in terms of these entrepreneur success? It's actually a really good question. It's always the final question in the podcast, right? Like,
Mm,
was it hard work or was it luck? Vanna, what are your thoughts?
I didn't believe in luck actually, like never. Because for me, like when you call it luck, it's actually coming from the opportunity and preparation, which is you prepare for something, right? So it's about it's like maybe people will say it's luck because some people trying once and they succeed. Some people try like a lot of time and they succeed.
That's right.
Like I mean, like I don't know, like you need preparation and you need like the time, like the right time, the opportunity. So yeah.
Very good point. All right, so I think Vanna actually made a very sharp point. Part of it is, I think, preparation. Let's say, for example, if you want to surf, but you don't have a surfboard, you're never going to get lucky and catch that perfect wave, right? So, in terms of if you want to utilize luck, then you should probably prepare so that if luck comes, you can harness that luck. You can identify what it looks like, what luck actually looks like. I think that's why we're actually doing this, ladies and gentlemen. The way that I want you guys to actually feel after listening to these podcasts is that you will get more lucky. You'll be able to identify, oh, wait, that's not a problem. That's actually an opportunity. That's not an issue. These are not just regular. These are not just random people coming into my life. These are people that can be my future investors. These are people that can be my future employers. These are people that have a lot of maybe influence on how I can see the world later. But it's about that. Joel hosts a lot. He's in contact with a lot of partners. He's in contact with a lot of guests. But let's say, for example, if Joel becomes a millionaire and ends up owning a business 10 times bigger than Bukit Vista, right? Was it luck, or was he able to actually see, oh my God, this guy that is my guest has a great idea that I can actually connect to another person, and then I can find some value by creating a place in the middle. That I think is hustle. That I think is this idea of you know what to do, and you know what opportunity looks like, and then it's about making it happen. So that part I don't think is luck. That part is wisdom. That part is drive. But knowing when that happens, that's kind of luck, right? You don't necessarily, you can't force the conditions to be right. And even if you are very well prepared, but things just haven't happened in your favor yet, it could be you just don't know when. But being prepared definitely helps. Okay, to Joel.
Yeah, I just wanna make an example from Barbara's case as well, because she's working at the rental properties, and then one day this guy came, and then oh, I don't want to rent, I just want to buy. If she just stop and like say, oh, we're just working in the rental properties, and then the luck goes out, she doesn't have anything to do with it.
Right?
But the things that she did is like the opposite. She tried to contact everyone in her network, which has been built for like over the years. If she doesn't have that, she doesn't know what to do with this luck.
Okay.
So yeah, the perception, I agree with that.
Recognizing opportunity when you see one rather than saying no. I think that's very, very good. I think I applying the chicken salad chick. I'm trying to remember if that lady actually saw an opportunity and she pivoted on it. Sometimes it's one way, sometimes it's the other. I've seen people who, like Jiro for sushi, 3-star Michelin chef, very famous for sushi. He doesn't do anything except sushi. If people come into this restaurant, they ask for this, they ask for that. He says, no, sorry, I only do sushi. That's all I do. That's maybe one way, but I think Jiro is far less wealthy than Barbara Cochran because Jiro kind of creates a product and he wants everybody to like the product that he's created. So he's waiting for the audience to be adapted to his method. Barbara is willing to do what the audience wants in order to get the sale, get the deal done. So to answer R's question, for that, I think there's always two ways. You can kind of make luck happen by just sitting in place and saying this is all I do, and I'll just wait for the right customer to come along. Or you can chase and you can look for where the opportunity is and try your best to alter things and get that fit. Chicken salad chick, I would say, is one where she stayed and no, actually she didn't. She created more flavors. Remember? So people asked for more flavors, and she came up with all these different flavors, and that appealed to a wider audience and a more masculine audience. And so she was able to expand on capturing the male segment by innovating, by shifting to. So the hustle of that is in, let's say, a franchise is in your product. The distribution is simple. It's like YouTube. You just give it to other people and they keep on distributing it for you. But how you actually create that product, that experience, that's where I think the hustle of a franchise owner like Chicken Salad Chick is doing. Okay, great. Let's go. Last one. Let's go to Shinthia. Shinthia, tell us about your podcast.
Okay, so I think I'm not really taking any serious note like the others about listening to podcast because I listening to something that I'm interested to. So
Sure.
I'm listening to M. Leffler and also the Bobby Brown. Yeah, both of them is like into the fashion and also the makeup thing. So M. Leffler is okay. So I kind of forget the name, but actually MM is the name of her mother, and then because she's kind of like Japanese, and also her father, sorry, her mother is come from Japan, and she is an entrepreneur that, and then she kind of like inspired by her mother to like have a this industry to come in this industry. So the first thing that makes she uh, build this project is because she works in an office, and then every morning she always feel difficult what kind of clothes that I will wear to work today. Like uh, she spent a lot of time to choose what kind of clothes that she wanted to wear, and then uh, she decided to meet her. Yes, this is the project. So like I saw that they have a very simple and casual design, so it won't make any woman feel difficult to choose. The things that I remember from their marketing is this way. So that is a very difficult time, and then she tried Sarah Level, yeah. And then she tried a new uh,
Big time.
what is that? Uh, and you kind of like MVP, kind of
Okay.
like MVP, and then she sent some product to their customer, and then if the customer like it, then the customer just can pay it. But if not, she can return the clothes back, and then she never expect that the things will work. So like most of all the customer love her design, and then yeah, she got better uh, about the revenue things.
Okay.
So yeah, and the things so I remember about the same about the persuasion because she doesn't have anything or doesn't have any interest in design at the very first time. She didn't know about the design, but she asked her friend that is a very good designer to like uh, have a cooperation with her, and then yeah, the way she persuaded her friend that finally, okay, then I will help you, even she doesn't have any money at the very first time. So yeah, she mentioned about the luck as well, because when the podcaster said, "What is the thing important here?" Yeah, she said about the hard work and also the luck. So and also about the Bobby Brown as well. Bobby Brown feel inspired by her mother because her mother is very fabulous at that time, always wearing makeup, and then but she wanna have a trend, make a trend that no makeup. So yeah, he made a Bobby Brown and all the things at the very end of the podcast. Also, when the podcaster asked what the major things here, she said that the hard work and also the luck. So yeah, I think both of them have the same things in common and also about the struggling itself.
Excellent. All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Cynthia. So, what we're almost out of time. Actually, we're a little bit 2 minutes over. Motion to extend by 10 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, actually, let me go back to MM Lafleur. I saw something that's very, very interesting just by casually glancing at it. Vanna, do you see this? That's actually pretty cool, right? It's like clothing for a situation, not clothing for. But it's sort of like somebody. I feel like that's hospitality. Somebody has actually thought about how your life is going to work, and they've made clothing for you so that you don't have to think about it, right? You don't have to like, oh, what am I going to do today, right? Like, what do I need to wear? It's like this is what your day looks like. This is what you should wear.
Mm.
So it's very thoughtful, very handy. MM Lafleur. Okay, very cool new brand. I haven't heard this one before. It looks like it's good for professional women. I've noticed all our heroes are female, by the way. I don't think there's been a single male yet. So,
Yeah.
um, what is Cynthia? Okay, go ahead, Cynthia.
Okay. So there's a thing that I want to know. Actually, FM Review also offer something that is not offered by the other brand because she kind of like offer a service like this. So she offer designer or advisor for your fashion every day,
Mhm.
and it's not given by the other brand. So I think that makes MM Lafleur going well today.
Very good. You have to have a unique selling point in order to have product differentiation. Excellent. So, I think you've already told me this actually, but what sort of takeaways do you have from this, Cynthia, from Bobby Brown and Evan Lafleur? What could you start applying to your life today?
Okay, so I think what things that I could take from here is even if you were not into this industry at the very first time, as long as you want to know and then you have a big willingness to do that thing and you have to work hard here and you have to live, I think it could make you something one day. Even at the very first time you don't like it or you don't even know about this thing, is not, it's not possible to be somewhere or something in that industry.
Great. That sounds like a good mindset. Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Okay. Great. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this. Who wants to do this again next Saturday? Raise your hand. Okay, great. So once again, the thing I'm trying to actually do is to get everybody into a habit of actually, whatever, right? Like listening to podcasts. Now, here's the thing. You can continue on how I built this as a podcast course to have this discussion. But even better, if you can find a new source of information or a new source of of knowledge to share with the rest of us here, that'd be even better. So if you can find, hey, yo, I found my own podcast, or I read a book, or I watched this YouTube video, feel free to do that. It's a little bit more free on the next episode. But just come with one story to share about an entrepreneur that you admire, and we can talk about it again and share like the way we have. I think through this process, I think we can all learn that entrepreneurship is actually kind of like it's a skill. You can actually kind of like get better at being an entrepreneur. You can actually get better at identifying opportunities. And what I've always wanted to do is to create a entrepreneur culture in my own company. If you guys go out and you start brilliant companies after Bukit Vista, I would say that's a great success. If you start a great company within Bukit Vista, that would also be a great success. But the idea of getting better at being an entrepreneur, I think, is a good start, and it's good inspiration to bring us out. Okay, all right, that's my concluding statement, and I hope to see you guys next Saturday. And once again, please find one story that you would like to share with everybody else. Continue on the podcast if you like it. If you feel like there's something else that you can discover or want to share, then by all means find and bring it to the table. This is like a potluck. It's like a general sharing area. Okay. All right. That's it for today, and have a great week ahead. See you guys.
Have a great weekend. See
Bye.
you guys.
Bye.